Hi, everyone. David Aragona and Mike Beer here taking a look at some Kentucky Derby contenders. And speaking of that big race on the first Saturday in May, it's right around the corner. So you want to make your Derby handicapping plan. Take advantage of one of these Kentucky Derby packages. You can save up to 39% of the value on everything that's bundled together here, not just the PPs, but betting strategies, the player's guide, clocker reports from Mike Welsh and his team. Find out more information about our Kentucky Derby packages at shop.drf.com. Mike, let's focus on Kentucky Derby contender Rodriguez, who feels like he is the top player coming in for trainer Bob Baffert. And it didn't necessarily look that way going all the way back to the early part of the season when it seemed like Bob Baffert had so much firepower among the 3-year-olds. And Rodriguez threw his hat into the conversation when he earned a 100 buyer, breaking his maiden back in January, but then was beaten by some stablemates and the Robert B. Lewis and the San Felipe. Well, he got away from those horses when he shipped out east to contest the Wood Memorial last time. We'll take a look at the replay of that race, and they got back to front-running tactics with this horse, and it really paid off.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's one thing you do have to note about Rodriguez is he's won twice in his career, David. Both of those wins came when he was sent to the early lead. But he's also earned triple-digit buyers for both of those wins. So maybe he's just a horse who's really much more comfortable when he's free running on the early lead. This is a very easy win in the Wood Memorial that we're watching right now. He also just had a great trip in here against, I would call, a suspect field.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't walking up front, but it definitely was a comfortable pace for him. He was just able to click off those high 11 or 12-second eighths every step of the way. And it's really tough to beat a quality front runner when they get that kind of trip. And I think that's one of the big outstanding questions for Rodriguez, because as you were alluding to, he's got that big maiden victory going gate to wire. He won the Wood Memorial going from gate to wire. But in those two stakes races in between them, the Lewis and the San Felipe, he was rated to allow some more highly regarded Bob Baffert stablemates to get easy leads, those being Citizen Bull and then Barnes and the San Felipe. And it just didn't work out for Rodriguez. He just didn't seem nearly as comfortable getting those stalking trips, especially in the Robert B. Lewis, where it didn't look like he appreciated having horses on either side of him down the backstretch. They did take the blinkers off in the Wood Memorial. I think the idea was that he was a horse that wants to look around a little bit. So giving him the full range of vision allowed him to fulfill his true potential. But the question's still out there, Mike, if this horse needs the lead to be most effective.
Yeah, it's a very real question for him. He's clearly a talented horse. And he's going to have to prove that he can do it, a different way. Not only that he can win a different way, but he can run a fast race a different way. Because when they've taken him off the lead early in his races, those races just aren't fast. I didn't think his Lewis was terrible, but it certainly wasn't great. He did not really run well at all. I didn't think in the San Felipe, of course. Journalism won that race in very fast time. So, we'll see. There's a lot of questions still regarding Rodriguez, but he's not an untalented horse.
He does have jockey Mike Smith aboard. That's a strength. The Kentucky Derby winning jockey who is typically aggressive with the horses that he rides that have any sort of tactical speed in the Kentucky Derby. And Mike, I'm going to be most interested to see what the tactics are between these two likely Bob Baffert starters, Rodriguez and Citizen Bull, because you would expect Citizen Bull to be the one that is more aggressively ridden, but they practice rating him in a recent drill. They're taking the blinkers off Citizen Bull. So maybe they're going to get more aggressive with Rodriguez than that one, but it's not like he's the only other pace rival in the race. This does feel like a Derby where there are a few quality speed horses.
Right, exactly. Unfortunately, as far as Baffert is concerned, it's not just his stablemates now that he has to worry about as far as the pace goes. There are going to be other horses going for the front, and Baffert can't control them. So we'll see how fast this pace gets. I don't really want to knock Rodriguez too much, David, because I do think, again, I think he's talented enough. And to me, he doesn't seem like a horse who's going to take a ton of money in the Derby, but I guess we'll see how that all plays out. He's got an awful lot to prove, though.
Well, those are our thoughts on Kentucky Derby contender Rodriguez. We want to hear from you. Drop us a comment below this video and let us know which of these Bob Baffert contenders for the Derby you like, if you think Rodriguez has a chance, and what kind of trip he might work out in the Run for the Roses on the first Saturday in May.